Ladies and gents, Holmes UX, and this is Northrop's new FAXX render. Looks a lot like new YF-23. Okay, this was on SANDBOXX, obviously. So they're bringing back YF-23. Is it? And people kind of said that like Northrop's gonna make it, so it's gonna be like YF-23, and people are still have this like starry-eye look in their faces whenever they talk about YF-23 and feel that maybe F-22 shouldn't have been the one that was chosen. It should have been YF-23. Obviously, SANDBOXX and many other channel have made video about that. Like, no, F-23 was chosen for the right reason, and yeah, it kind of makes sense. But yeah, YF-23 might get better and be the next another 6th generation plane. This is for the Navy one, I'm gonna guess, right? So yeah, it's gonna be interesting by SANDBOXX. Let's watch this one.
Northrop Grumman just released a render of its FAXX fighter design, and holy crap, does it look a lot like the YF-23, or a 6th generation version of it anyway. Now I've got to give credit to the War Zone, because they appear to be the first outlet to report on this new image. The US Navy's been working toward awarding a production contract to either Northrop Grumman or Boeing for its next stealth carrier fighter for some time now, but there's currently a political scrap going on between Navy leadership and the White House, with the Navy looking to get its new fighter into production and the Trump administration calling for the program to be shelved indefinitely to focus on the Air Force's new fighter, the F-47, alone. Now, the Navy brass has seen bipartisan support from lawmakers in its efforts to get its new jet funded, while the White House has received support from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and newly appointed Navy Secretary John Phelan. And who will ultimately win this fight is yet to be determined, but now...
I don't get it, though. Like, America's flex is mostly through its Navy. Because where are you gonna fight? You're not gonna fight Canada or Mexico. So you're gonna fight somewhere where like you're gonna need your aircraft carriers and Navy, right? There are scenarios where your bases, basically you can supply them with your modern plane, but you're not gonna take that risk. What if those bases get overtaken and the like plane get captured or something? Usually you're gonna use like something like B2 or something at like Diego Garcia and things like that. If you have to fight somewhere in Europe or somewhere in like Asia, you're not gonna put your Air Force planes there. So mostly like you rely on Navy. Why not have a Navy 6th generation plane, right? The whole issue of F-22 was like, how are you going to use them? So you never use them. F-18 was constantly used because that was the aircraft carrier Navy version. Like the reason F-22 never saw service is because of this reason. Why would you not have like a similar F-47 equivalent for the Navy? This is why F-35 is so versatile, because Navy has one as well. I don't get it, like why Trump thinks like, okay, Air Force One, let's go with that one, but Navy, who cares about Navy? Yeah, you rely on Navy. There's a reason China is flexing we are the biggest Navy or something by number, because Navy is important.
Northrop Grumman appears to be dropping hints at what they could deliver if the multi-billion-dollar contract is awarded to them. This single render was posted on Northrop Grumman's Naval Aviation page with no accompanying text or details, and while it is important to remember that this is just a render and not necessarily an accurate depiction of their real competing fighter design, well, that's not going to stop me from looking closely for some details that might give us some hints about the aircraft's design priorities. Now, right off the bat, we know this new carrier fighter is meant to offer at least a 25% increase in unrefueled range over today's F-35C, which can reach out to about 770 miles before having to turn back or refuel. We also know this jet is expected to offer improved all-aspect stealth, powerful new sensors, a larger internal payload capacity, and the ability to coordinate and control AI-enabled drone wingmen that it's meant to operate alongside. And at first glance, Northrop's design does seem awfully reminiscent of their last stealth fighter, the YF-23, which famously lost out to Lockheed Martin's F-22 Raptor for the Air Force's last air superiority contract. And for aviation buffs all around the world, and maybe even for the US Navy, that could be good news. Despite Lockheed Martin winning that contract, the YF-23 reportedly bested the Raptor in a few important metrics, most notably in terms of radar return and unrefueled range, both areas of emphasis for this.
And Northrop is great when it comes to like radar cross sections and things, obviously because of B2s and things, right? It makes sense YF-23 was better in that range. But yeah, the fuel range thing is important. But then again, this could just basically be like Northrop not really giving it a thought, because first of all, like, is this gonna go forward? Like, they don't even know that. If it's gonna go forward, is Northrop gonna win the contract? This could be just render. Okay, how should we render it? I don't know, like, use something like YF-23 and use that as a base to create a concept. We'll figure it out later. If they win the contract, they'll actually think about the design and everything. It might look different than what they're shown here.
New generation of fighters. And as you can see here, Northrop's FAXX design seems to borrow the YF-23's distinct duck bill with that stealthy chine that extends all the way back into the fuselage of the aircraft. The cockpit canopy also shares the YF-23's canopy bow, or that curved piece of metal used to fuse the two pieces of indium tin oxide treated clear laminate composites that are used in modern fighter canopies instead.
Yeah, they probably went to some AI and like generate an image based on YF-23, but it's like 6th generation plane. I don't know, do your thing, and there you go.
Instead of glass. Now, this is an important addition because single-piece canopies, like the one found on the F-22 Raptor, are really expensive to build and to replace. Now, the front landing gear does appear to be positioned further back on the FAXX as compared to the YF-23, and based on the jet's sleek profile, that may well be to allow room for a sizable active electronically scanned array radar in the nose. But the most glaring difference between this FAXX render and the YF-23 is absolutely intake placement. The YF-23 has two large S-shaped air intake ducts on the underside of the fuselage, that placement is better for airflow while flying at high angles of attack, and tends to
right, like, yeah, that makes sense. They're probably gonna like put it on top now, like B2 bombers and B-21s. It's just better for stealth. They'll figure out the air issue.
To be simpler to design and build. The FAXX, on the other hand, has one visible intake on top of the fuselage with a second logically mirrored on the other side, and we just can't see it in the picture. Now, placing intakes on the top of a fighter like this can come with some real benefits in terms of reducing both radar and infrared detectability from below, all in exchange for some engineering headaches. Now, this might also suggest a high service ceiling, as placing your intakes on the top of your aircraft sort of assumes that you intend to be flying at a higher altitude than the jets that you're shooting at. Of course, jet inlets and exhaust nozzles are among the most secretive aspects of stealth aircraft design, so it seems pretty unlikely to me that the intake we see here is exactly representative of Northrop's design, even if the placement could be.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they just probably rendered something just to like show, oh, look at that, just to get traction. You know, like, it's business in the end. Like, business has many elements to it. Like, promotion is also one of those things. You need to put it out there. You need to have it traction. Someone like SANDBOXX talking about it. Other people are talking about it. If it gets traction, they know, like, okay, there's a good chance, like, we might get awarded. Of course, like, you need to get everything right. Just getting, like, something out there or being famous is not enough. But that is an element also, right? If people are behind it, it's easier for, like, congressmen and people to, like, yeah, let's go with that one. People are behind it as well. To me, it's surprised, like, like Navy not getting this plane if they're gonna go that route. I guess that could happen, but I don't know, right? Like, F-35 is great, obviously F-35 is awesome, but like, this is the time where America needs some heavy hitters, like the powerhouses, which is like the F-47 will be, and similar thing Navy should get. F-35 has a very distinct job, but it's trying to do all job. Obviously, it's an all-rounder, but it's just like, I don't know. Especially when China is just increasing their output of how many planes they make. You don't want to go with F-35 versus something like a twin-engine heavy hitter, right? Again, like, people will say, like, oh, that's not how things work now. Like, that's not how fighting works. Yeah, but with all things being equal, and let's be honest, at that top scale, it will be equal with all countries, with some marginal differences. You need, like, twin-engine powerhouses. Navy should get one. I don't know. Right, well, that was Northrop's new FAXX render by SANDBOXX. If you like my next, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.